He doesn't want independent watchdogs. He doesn't want anybody serving out a 5-year term on his watch. And so he fired him without cause. And the problem is, by firing him without cause,
Donald Trump is headed to the Supreme Court. He's asking for permission to fire the head of a federal agency that protects whistleblowers.
Violated the due process rights of one Hampton Dellinger, who ran in on an emergency injunction and obtained it a temporary restraining order.
All right, folks, get ready for a wild ride through the wonderland of Trump's latest misadventure. We're talking Supreme Court drama, presidential power plays, and a whole lot of "you can't do that, Donald." Coming up, we'll break down how Trump tried to channel his inner dictator, why the Supreme Court decided to rain on his parade, and what this means for the future of presidential temper tantrums. Trust me, you won't want to miss this. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now, back to the video.
Here's the person at the center of that case. That is Hampton Dellinger on your screen right now. President Joe Biden chose him to lead the Office of Special
Fellow or woman to take that position. You want somebody that looks and acts exactly like Hampton Dellinger. But Donald Trump doesn't want Hampton Dellinger.
All right, folks, gather around for the latest episode of Grumpy Trumpy's White House Adventures. Our orange-tinted protagonist is at it again, and this time he's throwing a fit that would make a 2-year-old say, "Dude, chill out." So picture this, Trump's stomping around the Oval Office, his face redder than a sunburned tomato. Why? Because there's this pesky watchdog named Hampton Dellinger who's been sniffing around, and Trump's not too happy about it. Now, Dellinger's job is to make sure everything's on the up and up in the government, but to Trump, he's about as welcome as a vegetable on his dinner plate. Our Donnie Diapers decides he's had enough of this Dellinger guy. So what does he do? He tries to give him the boot just like that. No warning, no explanation, not even a "thanks for your service, but bye-bye." Nope, Trump just wants him gone faster than you can say "cuff-f." It's like Trump thinks he's still on The Apprentice, pointing his tiny finger and yelling, "You're fired." But here's the kicker, folks. The government isn't a reality TV show, even if Trump treats it like one. You can't just fire people willy-nilly because they're doing their job and it annoys you. Imagine if you tried to fire your teacher because they gave you homework, or if you told the cafeteria lady she's canned because she won't let you have ice cream for lunch every day. That's basically what happened here, folks.
Special Counsel, this was back in 2023. He was confirmed by the Senate for a 5-year term in February of last year, but then
Supreme Court has just ruled against Donald Trump and his efforts to remove from office the head of the Office of Special Counsel.
Trump thought he could just wave his magic wand, or in this case, his spray tan bottle, and make the mean old watchdog disappear. But here's the thing, there are these pesky little things called laws that even presidents have to follow. I know, shocking, right? It's like Trump skipped that day in Presidenting 101, or maybe he was too busy tweeting to pay attention. Let's break it down for our friend in the White House. Presidents can't just boot whoever they want out of office. There's this whole system of checks and balances. It's like a fancy seesaw that keeps everyone in line. Trump's about to learn that lesson the hard way, and boy, is it gonna be a doozy. You see, firing a government watchdog isn't like firing your personal golf caddy because he told you your swing looks like a drunk octopus. There are rules, procedures, and a whole bunch of boring legal stuff that Trump probably thinks is as exciting as watching paint dry. But wait, there's more. The Supreme Court, those folks in the fancy robes, decided to rain on Trump's parade. They basically told him, "Not so fast, buddy." It's like when your mom catches you trying to sneak cookies before dinner and gives you that look, you know the one. Well, 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 looks like our favorite orange juice head just got squeezed by the Supremes. And no, I'm not talking about Diana Ross and the gang. The Supreme Court just handed Trump a reality check that's harder to swallow than one of his well-done steaks with ketchup. So picture this, Trump's trying to play "you're fired" with a government watchdog, but the Supreme Court basically said, "Nuh-uh, not today, Donnie Diapers." They didn't exactly smack him down, but they didn't give him a gold star either. It's like when your mom says, "We'll see." You know you're probably not getting that new Xbox.
earlier this month, on February 7th, the Trump administration fired him. Dellinger filed his response earlier today.
Hampton Dellinger. What does it mean? What did I glean from the 5 pages? And what does it mean from the future that Justices Alito...
The court decided to sit on their hands for a bit, saying they'll let the lower courts duke it out first. It's like they're waiting to see who wins the pillow fight before stepping in. Chief Justice John Roberts, always the voice of reason, or at least the voice of let's not make a mess, pointed out that they don't usually mess with temporary restraining orders. It's like he's saying, hey, we're the Supreme Court, not Judge Judy, we. But here's where it gets juicier than Trump's KFC bucket. The court split more than Trump's pants at a golf outing. We've got Justice Sonia Sotomayor over here practically yelling, "Are you kidding me?" She thinks this whole thing is making a mockery of the idea that no one's above the law. It's like she's the teacher who caught Trump trying to change his grades and is mad the principal won't expel him. On the other side, we've got justices like Neil Gorsuch and Clarence Thomas, probably thinking, yeah, let Trump fire whoever he wants. It's like they're the kids in class who always side with the bully because they're scared of getting wedgies. Now, here's the kicker. This isn't just about Trump trying to get rid of one pesky watchdog. Oh no, this is bigger than his ego, if that's even possible. The Supreme Court's been on a bit of a presidents can do what they want kick lately. They've been knocking down limits on presidential power, like Trump knocks down cheeseburgers. It's like they're saying, hey, remember all those checks and balances we learned about in school? Yeah, forget those. They've been giving presidents more power to fire heads of agencies like the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau and the Federal Housing Finance Agency. It's like they're handing out get out of accountability free cards.
And Gorsuch both opposed Justice Roberts in allowing Hampton Dellinger to remain as the head of the Office of...
Considering if they will step in and grant Trump's request to lift a lower court's order that blocked Dellinger's firing.
But here's the real tea. The justices are hinting that they might not be done yet. They're like, stay tuned for more episodes of how much can a president get away with. It's like they're writing a never-ending soap opera, but instead of evil twins and amnesia, we've got executive authority and accountability. So you thought the Supreme Court drama was juicy? Well, buckle up, Buttercup, because we're about to dive into the world of the Office of Special Counsel. No, it's not a spin-off of your favorite paper company sitcom. These guys are like the hall monitors of the grown-up world. But instead of giving out detention slips, they're handing out reality checks to misbehaving government officials. Now, you might be wondering, what's so special about this special counsel? Well, let me tell you, they're not planning office parties or organizing the annual chili cook-off. These folks are the government's own personal Sherlock Holmes, always on the lookout for shenanigans in the federal workforce. They're like the vegetables of the government world. Nobody really wants them around, but boy, are they important for keeping things running smoothly. So what do these bureaucratic superheroes actually do? Well, they're responsible for enforcing laws related to federal employees. That means they're the ones making sure whistleblowers don't get thrown under the bus for speaking up about shady stuff. They're also the ones wagging their fingers at government workers who think it's cool to play politics on the job. It's like they're the parents of the government, always saying, now, play nice and follow the rules.
So the trial judge holds her hearing. I'm Michael Popok. You're on the Midas Touch Network with breaking news and Legal AF.
Well, I mean, Dellinger's right about that. I mean, the law is pretty clear. It says that someone in his position can only be removed for things like...
But here's the kicker. These guys aren't just all talk. The Office of Special Counsel can actually bring enforcement actions and issue regulations. They're like the referee in a football game, but instead of throwing flags, they're throwing the book at rule breakers. No wonder Grumpy Trumpy wanted to give them the boot. Now, don't get confused. These aren't the same special counsels that the Justice Department appoints for criminal prosecutions. Those guys are like the SWAT team of the legal world. The Office of Special Counsel is more like the everyday beat cop, patrolling the streets of bureaucracy to make sure everyone's behaving. But why is this office so important that even the orange turd can't flush it away? Well, imagine a world where government employees are too scared to report wrongdoing because they might lose their jobs. It'd be like a game of Among Us, but instead of spacemen, it's suits in Washington, and nobody's brave enough to call out the imposter. That's where the Office of Special Counsel comes in. They're the ones making sure that whistleblowers can spill the beans without fear of retaliation. Think about it. These guys are basically the government's conscience. They're the Jiminy Cricket sitting on Uncle Sam's shoulder, reminding him to always let his conscience be his guide. And let's be real, with some of the characters we've got running around Washington, we need all the conscience we can get. Now, you might be thinking, but wait, isn't the president supposed to be the boss of everything? Well, not so fast, Donnie Diapers. The Office of Special Counsel is like that one kid in class who always reminds the teacher about homework. Annoying, but necessary for keeping everyone in line. Their job is to make sure that even the big cheese in the White House can't just do whatever he wants. That's why Trump's attempt to give this office the old heave-ho was such a big deal. It's like he was trying to fire the referee in the middle of the game because he didn't like the calls. But here's the thing, in a democracy, nobody's supposed to be above the law, not even a guy with hair that defies the laws of physics. The Office of Special Counsel is a crucial part of the checks and balances that keep our government from turning into a three-ring circus. They're the ones making sure that federal agencies don't become personal playgrounds for politicians with oversized egos and undersized hands. Without them, it'd be like letting a bunch of kids run the candy store. Sure, it sounds fun at first, but pretty soon everyone's got a tummy ache and the place is a mess.
No suggestion here that he's done any of those things. But Trump is arguing, and his argument is that law itself, which
Now, let me give you a little bit of an aside what this is about, and then tell you I know Hampton Dellinger relatively well.
All right, folks, it's time to talk about what happens when our favorite orange turd tries to flush the whole government down the toilet. The Supreme Court just put a giant stop sign on Trump's power trip, and boy, is he not happy about it. Let's imagine a world where presidents could fire anyone they didn't like. It'd be like a giant game of musical chairs, but instead of losing your seat, you'd lose your job. We'd end up with a government full of yes men and Trump clones, all sporting bad spray tans and even worse comb-overs. Yikes. Picture the White House as a giant playground. The Supreme Court just put Trump in timeout and he's throwing a tantrum in the corner. But I want to fire everyone. He whines, stomping his tiny feet. Sorry, Donnie Diapers, that's not how it works. This ruling is like a giant stop sign for presidential power grabs. It's as if the Supreme Court looked at Trump and said, listen here, you overgrown Oompa Loompa. You can't just go around firing people willy-nilly. And let's be honest, that's probably the nicest way anyone's ever told Trump no. Future presidents might think twice before trying to play "you're fired" with government officials. It's like the Supreme Court just changed the rules of the game, and Trump's not happy about it. He's used to being the boss, but now he's realizing that in the real world, you can't just point your finger and make people disappear. But what does this mean for Trump's legal troubles? Well, it looks like his "I can do whatever I want" card just got declined. The ruling has some pretty big implications for his ongoing legal battles, especially when it comes to his attempts to overturn the 2020 election results. It's like the Supreme Court is saying, not so fast, buddy. We're gonna keep a close eye on you.
He was appointed by President Biden, to serve out a 5-year term. He just got the appointment a couple of months ago.
Congress passed in 1989 as part of the Whistleblower Protection Act is unconstitutional, and then it raises important separation of powers.
The lower courts are going to be scrutinizing Trump's actions even more closely now. It's like they've put on their detective hats and are ready to solve the mystery of the case of the corrupt Cheeto. This could mean that any trials might get pushed back until after the upcoming elections. Talk about a plot twist. And get this, experts are saying that this ruling could make future presidents more cautious about flexing their powers. It's like the Supreme Court just put a "beware of dog" sign on the White House lawn, warning future presidents not to overstep their bounds. Who knew that even presidents could get grounded? But here's the real kicker. This whole mess is sparking a debate about the limits of presidential power. Some legal nerds are saying it could lead to a big ol' reevaluation of the balance of power between the executive and judicial branches. It's like the government is playing a game of tug of war, and Trump just face planted in the mud. Of course, social media is having a field day with all this. There are memes galore showing Trump as a toddler being told no by the Supreme Court. It's like watching a real-life episode of Super Nanny, but instead of a misbehaving kid, we've got a misbehaving president. And you know what's really funny? The Trump administration is probably going to be sending out more emergency requests to the courts than a teenager sends text messages. It's like they're playing a game of legal whack-a-mole, trying to get around all these pesky court decisions that keep blocking their crazy ideas. Well, folks, it looks like our orange friend Trump is having a bit of a temper tantrum. After the Supreme Court told him he couldn't just fire people willy-nilly, he threw a Twitter fit that would make a toddler proud.
To be the head of the Office of Special Counsel, that's a special special creature. It's not what it sounds like. It's not an office devoted to prosecution.
Powers concerns because the Constitution gives presidents, he argues, broad powers to remove heads of agencies. And
the Supreme Court is a joke. He wailed. Yeah, because nothing says mature leader like calling the highest court in the land a punchline. But wait, it gets better. Political cartoonists are having a field day with this one. Picture Trump as a pouty kid trying to fire his teacher. You're expelled. Sorry, Donnie, that's not how this works. That's not how any of this works. Looks like Trump's reality TV skills aren't quite cutting it in the real world of politics. Maybe he should stick to firing people on TV. It's safer for all of us. And hey, at least there he can pretend he's still the boss. In the meantime, maybe someone should get him a stress ball or a pacifier.